Mike Lupica joins us at this time every single Wednesday, and he joins us now. You could read him in the New York Daily News, MLB.com, his books, the whole deal. He's the man, and we love having him on. Hi, Mike. How are you?
People still say, Michael, much like Lamar and not having won a Super Bowl or Josh Allen, you're the best coach to not have won a national championship yet. But we still believe in you, Michael.
As long as I still have a job, I have a chance. So thank you, Mike. I appreciate your support. So it's Aaron Glenn. Your thoughts?
I like it. I have been saying for a couple of weeks when I looked at the field, he was a wonderful player. And despite the way things ended up in Detroit when he lost all his players, I think he did a superb job, especially the second half of the season. I like the fact that he's got history with this team. And, people say, they can't hire a first-time coach again. Well, I think this is a little different. I think he is he's as good a coordinator, certainly, as Robert Saleh was. But I think there's a presence to this man, remembering him from when he was a player. And, I like very little of what the Jets do, Michael, but I like this.
Now, I've been saying this, that, his job one is to settle the quarterback situation. And I think we're kind of on the same page where we're sick of Aaron Rodgers. But give me a better choice. If I'm Aaron Glenn, my first job is to fly out to Aaron Rodgers and say, this is the way I will use you. You've got to answer to me. You're not running the team, but we want you as a quarterback. Would you bring Rodgers back?
Yeah, I would. I mean, again, as I watch the way things lay out, I don't think the Jets – listen, it's so odd that the situation the Jets are in right now would be, do we want to bring back Aaron Rodgers or do we want to bring back Sam Darnold? Because, those may be their two best options at this point. And if Aaron Glenn is looking to buy some time and he believes he has enough defense and enough offensive weapons and that he can find the right offensive coordinator who can work around Rodgers' diminishing skills, then I can see how that makes sense. And here's the other thing, Michael. The other thing he's got to find out is if Rodgers wants to be back here.
Right.
If he's willing, and if I'm Aaron Glenn, I am actually there's a lot of Aarons in this town. Have you noticed that?
Lot.
We have the home office for Aarons.
We have the Yank Aarons, and now we have the Jet Aarons.
Yeah, and I think I would sit down with him and say, I want you here to do one thing. Try to win me some football games. I don't want the drama. I don't know how much Pat McAfee's paying you, but I'm not sure that's a good idea for the culture of this organization. And I think he's got a right to ask him some tough questions before he makes that call.
And you do have to wonder, does Aaron Rodgers really want to be coached hard at the age of 41? And that's why that discussion has to be had, Mike, because from everything I've heard about Aaron Glenn, he doesn't suffer fools, and he's going to tell you exactly what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. I don't know if Aaron's in that kind of mindset. I'm not sure.
No, he might not be, Michael, and that's why there's going to be as much a doubt about this relationship going forward on the part of the new coach as there is on the guy who was their quarterback this year. Because I don't believe that Rodgers is anything close to what he was. It's the old Marx Brothers line. Who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?
Right.
We know what we saw. We know what his movement was like. We know that he showed old guy nerves on some of the biggest passes of this year. And it may very well be that Aaron Glenn, if he's looking to buy some time, he might think he's got a better chance to win games with Tyrod Taylor next season than with Aaron Rodgers. Because put me down I kind of like Tyrod Taylor. I think the Giants would have been a lot better off if he had stayed with them this year.
The thing that worries me, and we had a caller earlier where the guy said, they should just tear it down. And I don't think they should. I think there's talent here, and I don't think Aaron Glenn's coming here to be 3-14. Because how patient the city is. If he's 3-14, we'll be getting phone calls that they should fire him. So I think I'm not saying you win a Super Bowl next year, but with the talent they have, if you get a decent quarterback, you could be 9-8, you could be 10-7. Yes,
Michael, I completely agree, and this is, you see how many, Mike, you see how many coaches get fired and how quickly they get fired now, okay? So this is more a now business than ever before. And we found out that even votes of confidence don't mean anything. I mean, Antonio Pierce didn't think he was going to get fired, and he did,
right.
Okay? And the list goes on and on and on. And so, again, I like Aaron Glenn. I liked him as a player. I like him as a football man. I think he did a wonderful job the way that, until the roof caved in on him when he had guys who barely played snaps this year on his defense. So, but you're right. This is the first thing that has to be established. There's nothing more important than deciding if he's going to go forward with the new Aaron is going to go forward with the old Aaron.
Let's shift just a bit to the Hall of Fame yesterday. Ichiro gets in. One person didn't vote for him. Billy Wagner gets in on his final try. And then CeCe gets in. And, we had an opportunity, Mike, to watch this guy for 9 years with the Yankees. And he was a special talent. We had Joe Girardi on in the first hour. And Joe Girardi said it might be the best teammate that he's ever seen in all of his years as a player and a manager. So this guy deserved to go in first ballot.
Oh, Michael, I wrote a column in today's paper about CeCe and CeCe's journey and how great Yankees are supposed to be in the Hall of Fame, and he is a great Yankee. The lead was, we've added another C now for Carson Charles, or is it Carson Charles?
Carson
right?
Charles, yep.
Yeah, and put Cooperstown in there too now, okay? And what he overcame, and even, Mike, even when his knees were shot and he had no arm left, Joe Girardi still had enough belief in him to give him the ball in Game 7 of the American League Championship Series in Houston in 2017. And, Michael, guess what? They weren't going to win that night because they had stopped hitting, and they weren't going to start hitting again until next year. I actually thought CeCe pitched better than when he got taken out of that game in the fourth inning that night.
Right.
Oh, no, he was – and what I said in the column, Mike, and what I believe, and Buck Showalter has always said this about aces in baseball. You know one when you see one, okay? And you knew this guy was an ace. And when he showed us he was an ace before he got here, Michael, when he was just a rental in Milwaukee, and this guy is pitching on short rest, knowing at the payday he's looking at, and pitching the Brewers into the playoffs, sometimes on 3 days rest. And we saw what a horse he was, especially against the Angels in 2009. Oh, no, he's put me down as a member of this man's fan club. And then for him to finally stop drinking, to go to rehab, and then to come back to his baseball career. No, listen, this is a great day for him and a great day for the Yankees because, again, he was a great Yankee.
We asked him about the Milwaukee situation. He was a free agent to be, and he pitched 3 games on 3 days rest at the end when his agent told him not to. So we asked him about it on the Hot Stove Show on Yes, and he said, I think everybody would do that. And, we had to get through the interview quick. I don't think a lot of people would do it, Mike. That's just not the way athletes are built. They got to protect their payday.
Oh, Michael, that was as impressive as any moment of his big league career.
Yep.
I talked to Chris Smith, who wrote that CeCe's wonderful autobiography, and I asked him this the other day. I said, did CeCe ever talk about making the Hall of Fame? This is in the column. I said, did he ever talk much about the Hall of Fame? He said, not that much, but when he did, he'd mostly talk about how he thought Pettit and Andrew Jones should be in. And then Chris said, classic CeCe. So even with them, even then he was trying to be what he thought a good teammate should be.
I know you love baseball. How much did you enjoy watching Ichiro play?
Oh, my God, Michael, I was having this conversation with a friend of mine today. Oh, no, I was talking to Bill Madden. And here's what's amazing about Ichiro. He didn't, what was he, 27 when he got to this country?
Yep.
The only comparable career for completely different reasons. Warren Spahn basically didn't start winning games in the big leagues till he was 26 years old because of a little thing called the Battle of the Bulge in World War II, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And from there, he won 363 games in the big leagues. And we can only imagine if Ichiro had started here when he was 20 or 21, how many hits he would have ended up with. Okay, it was a complete joy to watch him. And then when the way he threw, the way he played the game. I mean, Michael, you saw him throw. He did look like he could have pitched if he had to.
Yep.
And it was there was never a time when I was at the ballpark and he was there that I wasn't happy knowing I'm going to see this guy at the plate 4 or 5 times today.
The coolest thing, you could see people from afar and you could appreciate them, but I'm glad that he played those 2 years with the Yankees where I could see him every day and his commitment to excellence and his work ethic. There are very few people that were as driven as he played till he was 44 years old. So, I'd like to talk to the one writer who didn't vote for him and say why. What wasn't Hall of Fame-ish about him?
Hey, guess what? What if it ever turned out to be the same guy who didn't vote for Jeter? That might be a vote that we might have to think about pulling, Michael, because if you can't get them right, what can you get right as a voter? And that was shocking to me. I was shocked about Derek because I thought he was going to be unanimous, just like Mo was. But Ichiro, after everything we saw, everything he was, everything he meant to the sport, some guy didn't check that box, Michael. And we've talked about this. It's the only thing I vote on in sports, and I take it extremely seriously. And I get my ballot, and I talk about it with my friends, and I go back and forth. There's certain guys that I wonder about, but this was the easiest of all time. This was such an easy year, really, for me. It was because Billy Wagner I felt was going to get in, and his emotions last night were so beautiful. And I he was always a great guy to talk to in the clubhouse. He was. It was really a good guy. No, this was an easy year. Michael, are we running out of time? Wait, I got to ask you something.
Okay.
How do you feel about Pettit?
I think his numbers are comparable, obviously, to CeCe, and I think the thing that's keeping him out is the involvement with the PDs. I think he would get in.
Do you think he'll ever get in?
No.
You do?
No, I don't.
Yeah, I don't either, Mike. I don't, and it's so funny you bring this up because I got curious yesterday in the writing of the column, and I said, let me look at Pettit versus CeCe. Michael, the 3,000 strikeouts, obviously,
right?
That places CeCe in my mind in a different category, and that Andy was never really the ace of the staff. Okay,
right.
But their numbers across the line, Michael, they're almost identical.
Yep, it's like Donnie and Kirby Puckett.
Wins. Huh?
It's like Donnie and Kirby Puckett.
And there's one other thing. I know we're running out of time, but I have fun doing this. Okay, so here's the other thing. No, and I think about this a lot. Koufax, and I'm not comparing the guys I'm going to mention to Sandy Koufax, okay? I'm talking about a situation where Koufax's career was cut short, but he was already a Hall of Famer. And I sometimes wonder if we should have a Koufax exemption for people like Don Mattingly, for people like Dustin Pedroia, for people like David Wright, because all of them, until their careers got cut short by injury, to me, I think we were, Mike, do you agree? We were looking at Hall of Fame baseball players.
We're looking at first ballot Hall of Famers.
And so this will never happen. But this is as a voter and as a writer, one of my dreams is that there is a way that we take a look at people whose careers got cut short for things that had absolutely nothing to do with bad baseball.
I like it. I'm sure Donnie. I think Donnie's going to get in anyway from one of the committees. I really do. I think Keith Hernandez will as well. Hopefully.
I agree, Michael. I thought Donnie's time had come. I couldn't believe it when he didn't get in last time because you know this, and we've talked about this. He was my favorite. He was my favorite of anybody I ever covered in baseball.
Me too.
In New York, and one of the best people I've ever met in sports.
Yeah, he's outstanding. Mike, thanks. This was fun, as always.
Okay, pal. Talk to you next Wednesday.
All right.